Hi guys, so over the last week or so you guys have been looking at the Reformation. So the Reformation is one of the more complicated areas of history that we'll be looking at this year. So I decided to just make a quick video going over some of the things that you will have seen, that you will have read about so far, and one or two new things to add on to that as well. So the Reformation, I just want to know what's it all about, why did it happen, and who was involved in it. So the first thing is, what is it all about? So the Reformation is about changing the Catholic Church. Basically, at the time, as we know, people were very, very religious. We know that from looking at the Renaissance with all the religious paintings and the explorers who were going to try and spread religion. This is the same time period, and people are very, very religious. But in the church, there's a lot of problems going on. There's a lot of popes and bishops breaking the rules of the church and kind of doing things that they shouldn't be doing as religious people. And some other people started to see this, people like the Reformers started seeing these problems, and they wanted to change. They wanted to fix the church to make sure that it was following the rules that the Bible said it should be following. So a lot of their ideas are based on truth. There was definitely problems in the church, so we looked at last week ideas around nepotism, which is where the Pope and bishops were giving positions of power to their family and to their close friends just as a favour. And the other big issue is what's called the sale of indulgences. So sale of indulgences is particularly important for the Reformation and for the reformer Martin Luther that we're going to look at. Basically, the sale of indulgences means that priests and bishops were going around and they were telling people that if they gave them money, if they made donations to the church or just to the priests themselves, that the priest would help their loved ones go to heaven. So people were losing their loved ones. They believed that the loved one would need to be taken care of in the afterlife. Priests were saying, give us money and we'll help you do that, and people were giving them money. Now, Martin Luther, who we're going to be looking at, really didn't like this. He thought that was a terrible idea. That's not what it says in the Bible. He thought people just needed to be good people in their lives and they'd go to heaven. People, should be helping out the needy and the poor. He didn't believe in this idea of you give a priest money and that'll help you go to heaven. He did not like that. So there's a number of really important reformers, okay, but the one we're going to look at is Martin Luther. Now you need to be really careful. We do not mix up Martin Luther with another man who comes about, who we'll look at in third year, a man named Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was a black civil rights leader in America in the 1960s. Very, very different person. We're talking about Martin Luther here. Okay, so just be really careful you don't mix those two names up. Alright, so Martin Luther, that's this guy coming up on screen now. Martin Luther, what he was a priest and a professor of theology. Right, so his job was working in a university. He would teach people about religion, so he was very, very informed about the subject. Right. In 1517, Luther, who was living in Germany, seen a man named Johann Tetzel come to his area, and Johann Tetzel was selling indulgences. So this is what we were talking about earlier. He was telling people to donate money to him, donate money to the church. They were trying to build a big new basilica in Rome, so give him money for that and he'll help their loved ones go to heaven. Martin Luther did not agree with this. He really thought this is totally wrong. We can't have this happening. So he decided to take a stand. And his stand was writing what we call his 95 Theses. And all his 95 Theses it's a big word or it's a different word, all it means is 95 ideas pointing out the problems with the church, particularly pointing out the problem with the sale of indulgences. So you can look at his theses and you see they're not very complicated. They're on page 121 of your textbook. So just very simple rules. Like number 21, indulgences do not save people from all punishment. Okay? Or number 43, it's better to give to the poor than it is to buy a pardon. Okay? So it's just these ideas, and he put out 95 ideas saying what he believed. And he made them public by going to the church, and he nailed them on a piece of paper. He nailed a piece of paper to the door of the church so that other people could come and read his ideas. The church was a big gathering place at the time. So Luther brought his ideas out, and he got lots and lots of support for his ideas. People really believed, this is a good idea. People knew that what the bishops and the churches were doing was wrong. They understood that, and they wanted to change. And here was someone giving them the opportunity to change that. Obviously, poor people didn't want to have to be paying money to the priests and to the church. It was very difficult. Life was hard for them. So this was a new person coming and saying, "I'm not going to take your money like that." So it's a very, very popular idea. And there's the other problem, that the Catholic Church is based in Rome. A lot of the money they were raising was being sent to Rome. And if you're a person living in Germany in the 1500s, you're probably never going to go to Rome. So why would you want to be sending all of your money off there? You want to be able to see where your money's going. Right? And we have to be really need to understand this. And we looked at this on page 122. We looked at the map and it showed you where the printing press was. The printing press is invaluable. It is so important to the Reformation. It helps them to spread their ideas. It means that a lot more people can read because of it, and so they can think about things a lot more themselves. Like, printing press is incredibly important. So Luther's becoming quite popular, and you can see there's good reason for why he's becoming popular. But the church don't like it. The church had to find a way, we need to deal with this. We need to find a way to deal with the problem of what he's causing. And they do it in a number of ways. So the first thing that happens is the Pope sends what's called a papal bull. All this means is it's a letter, an order coming from the Pope. And in this order, what they do is they excommunicate Luther. They throw him out of the church. This is a huge problem at the time. You can't be thrown out. People do not want to be thrown out of church. This is a terrible thing. But Luther, because he doesn't believe with the Catholic Church he's not bothered by the papal bull. And he takes it out in public and he burns it in public. This is a hugely disrespectful thing to do, and it really shows that he is turning his back on the Catholic Church completely. Because of this, the Pope wants to deal in a new way. Excommunication hasn't worked. We need to find a new way. So he goes to the Emperor of Rome, who has power in Germany, and he asks him to deal with it. So the Emperor talks to the German princes, and they make a group called the Diet of Worms. All the Diet of Worms is a big group of people in a town called Worms getting together, and they're going to basically have a court case over Luther and what he's done. So this happens in 1921. They call Luther there. They tell him he needs to take back what he's saying. Luther refuses to. He says, "No, I'm not taking back what I'm saying is the truth," and he walks away. So they failed. The Diet of Worms doesn't do what it needs to do. Now they can't accept that, so they publish what's called the Edict of Worms. And this is just the order that they come up with after their meeting. And the order the edict says that whoever can find Luther needs to arrest him and bring him back so they can punish him. Now Luther's followers find out about this. They don't want Luther being arrested and being punished, because probably going to be very brutal, their punishment. So they hide him, and they hide him in a place called Wartburg Castle. And he has to hide there for over a year. It's a long time he's in hiding. But while he's there, and over the rest of his life, his ideas keep spreading. Right? It's not just him anymore. The ideas are bigger than him, and they're spreading and they're spreading and they're spreading. Right? So his ideas keep going despite him. And that's true even up until 1546 and beyond. So he dies in 1546, right? But his ideas keep spreading. And because his ideas are spreading so much, war breaks out. And the war breaks out is because Luther's followers, they want their own churches. There's Catholic churches all over the place, and they decide they're going to take Catholic churches. People who are Catholic don't like this, and there's a lot of tension. So the war breaks out, and it goes on for 9 years, and it doesn't end until 1555, and there's a treaty called the Peace of Augsburg. That's all the Peace of Augsburg is. It's just an agreement to say the war is over between the two sides. Okay. So the final thing just about the Reformation is that propaganda is really important throughout all of this, and the printing press allows them to do this. So you'll see two pieces of propaganda on the board, and these both come from your textbook. They're both on page 125 of your textbook. And first picture on the left is a picture of Luther, but he's depicted as a hero. He's supposed to be like Hercules, a great Greek hero, and he's supposed to show him as powerful and as an amazing person. Whereas the picture on the right, it's a picture of a donkey, okay, but in the background you see the flag up in the top left corner. That's the Pope's flag. Right, so that is basically saying that the Pope is a donkey. That donkey is supposed to be a representation of the Pope. So this idea of being able to print all of this, being able to show these images all around Europe and all around the world is hugely important, and really, allows them to spread their ideas much further. The printing press is absolutely invaluable. Alright guys, so I hope that kind of helps a little bit. I know I've been speaking quite fast. I just didn't want this to be too long of a video. If you have any questions, just ask them on Teams and we'll be able to answer them there. Thanks guys.